Moses is the classic hero, a warrior, mystic, political leader, prophet, rolled into one. His relationship with God was profound and intimate, and his influence on the history of the people of Israel second to none. But no one is born like that. It takes decades of gradual transformation. And the story told in today's reading from the Hebrew Scriptures shows part of that process. Moses' early life was turbulent. As an infant, he was marked for death, then rescued and adopted by Pharaoh's daughter. Although he lived his early years in comfort, he was doubtless confused and conflicted, sharing the heritage of enslaved people and the privileges of their oppressors. By the time we get to Exodus 3, he's a fugitive, having killed an Egyptian taskmaster who had beaten a Hebrew slave. In fearing for his life, Moses fled to Midian, where he became a shepherd. But where to from here? Well, one day while grazing his sheep, a nearby bush burst into flames. It wasn't an extraordinary event. Occasionally a dried bush caught fire in the hot sun, blazed for a moment, and died out. This time the fire didn't die out, and he said, I must turn aside and look at this great sight and see why the bush is not burned up. Now, we're warned against curiosity. After all, it killed the cat. Yet the desire to know is a powerful instinct. And this day, curiosity got the upper hand. It seems to me that God uses our curiosity to draw us on. If Moses hadn't given in to it, he might have stayed as a shepherd, and he would have never become the man he did. Curiosity can lead us away from the familiar. It involves us in change and searching, and for sure that can disrupt our lives. But if we're to realize our potential, we need to allow ourselves to be caught by our curiosity. I see two approaches to life. One is not to question or search out, but to simply accept things as they are. The other is to look, to inquire, to follow our curiosity. It's the approach that asks questions, and yes, that can be disconcerting at times, but it also enables an exploring faith out of which can emerge a deep spirituality. This is Moses. He asks questions and wonders what's happening with the bush. As he nears it, he hears a voice, Moses, Moses. And he said, Here I am. Then he said, Come no closer. Remove the sandals from your feet, for the place in which you're standing is holy ground. He said further, I am the God of your father, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. Up to now, Moses had known God secondhand, as an almost long-lost tradition, or perhaps as an impersonal power in which he believes in a vague kind of way. Now he encounters God directly. He experiences God in relationship. It's the move from knowing about God to knowing God. Whatever happened that day, Moses experienced it as a moment of meeting with God. I respect experiences like this, rare though they are, because they help us to know and experience God more intimately. They are moments of change, of enlightenment, of challenge. That's how it is for Moses. Life will never be the same again. It's an awesome experience, but it's not an end in itself. It never is. Moses is called to work with God, who says, I've observed the misery of my people who are in Egypt. I know their sufferings, and I have come to deliver them from the Egyptians and to bring them up out of the land to a good and broad land, a land flowing with milk and honey. So come, I will send you to Pharaoh to bring my people out of Egypt. So it is with us. We're called to work with God, to set people free from whatever it is that enslaves them, that prevents them from being who God calls them to be. It's quite an ask, even absurd. Not only will Pharaoh laugh at the idea, but Moses is wanted for murder. Yet God is calling Moses to be a hero. He's been called to accomplish the seemingly impossible. Here's another absurd idea. We, you and I, are called to be heroes. We're not called to become a Moses, but we're called to become the person God has created us to be. There's an old tradition that God sends each person into this world with a special message to deliver, with a special song to sing for others, with a special act of love to bestow. No one else can speak that message or sing that song or offer that act of love. These are entrusted to us alone. When we accept that task, then we too have set out on the path that Moses took. I'm not like Moses. I find good reasons not to set out on the journey. I'm too old. I don't have the gifts or the wisdom or the experience. It's just too scary. I come up with excuses. Is this familiar? Moses says he doesn't know what to say if the people ask him who has sent him. Who is the divine being that has sent him? Now, behind that question is the belief that the knowledge of another's name could give some power. But the giving of a name is also a sign of trust and openness. In Hebrew thought, a name reveals something of the inner essence of the person. It gives us a handle on them. God grants Moses his request and reveals the divine name. I am who I am. Thus you shall say to the Israelites, I am has sent me to you. What does this mean? Perhaps that God is beyond time and space, eternally present. God is the great I am, the Holy One, whom we can encounter but never totally comprehend. It's as if God is saying, don't box me in. Don't try to tie me down to your preconceptions. I will be who I will be. You see, before this moment, God was simply the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of our ancestors, a tribal God. But now God can be known by all people, though humankind will have to wait before God gives a far fuller self-revelation in the person of Jesus. Moses is also discovering that he can only learn who God is by following God on the path set for him. So it is for us. We come to know God as we become the person God is calling us to be, as we step out and begin the journey. So after more protests, more excuses, more self-doubts, Moses will go to Egypt, confront Pharaoh, and lead his people out of Egypt. Our story isn't that dissimilar. It's only as we step out, trusting God's call to us, that we come to truly know God. To know God, we have to go with God. Faith isn't a spectator sport. It involves participation. We have to follow our curiosity, take risks, and try something new. We need to step out into the winding road, the end of which we can't see from our front doorstep. I wonder, where is God calling you? Where is God calling this or other faith communities? What's the special message that you have to deliver, the song you have to sing, the act of love you have to bestow? It doesn't have to be spectacular. As we saw last week, even the seemingly small action can change the world. You have the makings of being a hero. And if you think this sounds absurd, then you're in company with Moses. But remember, and be warned, God has this habit of using ordinary and rather fallible people to do the extraordinary things.